Harry and Meghan are open to a reconciliation with the royal family with their recent moves. We are all aware that Harry and his wife Meghan have been at odds with the royals for quite a few years, and many have been wondering if there's ever going to be the possibility of a reconciliation. When they decided to step down as working royals and move to the United States in 2020, the gap between them and the royal family only continued to widen as the years passed by. We could say that things are much worse now than when they first left the palace. However, reports suggest that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are trying to get in touch with the royal family and see if they could make peace. These speculations began when an insider revealed that Harry made a call to King Charles on the latter's 75th birthday. So, on November 14th, King Charles celebrated his birthday and Harry got in touch with his dad through a phone call, according to an insider. He probably wanted to wish him a happy birthday as well as reduce the gap between them. One other surprising reveal is that a video call was made, possibly by Meghan Markle, of Archie and Lilith wishing their grandfather, the king, a happy birthday. As if this isn't all, Christmas is on the horizon and many are wondering if the royal family will extend an invitation to their prodigal children. Recall that last year, Harry and Meghan snubbed an invitation by King Charles to spend Christmas together. They were adamant on not being part of the royal family's Christmas celebration. In light of this, it will be fair if the royal family doesn't invite them this time. Funny enough, while the royal family is more likely not to extend an invitation this time, insiders have revealed that the Duke and Duchess are keenly waiting for one. Completely contrary to what happened last year. Oh, how funny life can be and how things could easily turn on their head. Last year, the royal family invited them, yet they snubbed the invitation. This year, they want an invitation, yet the royals might not invite them. According to a source, there has been no outright invitation or a snub by the royal family. King Charles is yet to extend an invitation, but there's still time to do so. Another method by the Duke and Duchess to make peace with the royal family is by using their children Archie and Lilith. The relationship between the king and his grandchildren means he has no choice but to be associated with his son and daughter-in-law. Information has been revealed that the king wants to be as close to his grandchildren as possible and dedicate more time to being with them, even if this means having to reconcile with their parents. It may seem Harry and Meghan are taking advantage of this, using Archie and Lilith as a weapon for reconciliation. The sins of Harry and Meghan doesn't affect their children here, as they are completely innocent, and Charles knows this, which is why he doesn't pay any attention to it and simply wants to get to know his grandchildren. Now, if this is the case, it would mean he has no choice but to associate with their parents as well. Reports reveal that the relationship between them has gotten much better than ever before in recent weeks, and this is all due to Archie and Lilith, who seem to melt the heart of King Charles whenever he sees or thinks about them. All of this goes to show that a reconciliation may happen, and even if it is not sooner, it could be later. We should, however, note that this isn't the first time there are reports of Harry and Meghan wanting to reconcile with Charles, William, and the royals. Over the years since their exit as working royals, these reports have surfaced quite a few times, but each time we discover that the rift instead widens further. It makes one suspect whether there's something that always happens whenever one of either party tries to make peace, leading to the feud worsening. We talked about how the feud between them has only gotten worse over the years, and it all happened while they were still in the palace. You could even say the royal family weren't very welcoming of Meghan when Harry introduced her to them. Harry's story seems to be very similar to his great-grand-uncle King Edward VIII, which saw the latter forsake the throne for his lover, who was an American just like Meghan Markle, only in this case Harry isn't the heir to the throne like Edward was. Meghan Markle has gotten married and divorced just like Edward's wife back then, and just like him, Harry didn't think twice to forsake his family for the love of his life, Meghan. While the royal family weren't very welcoming of Meghan, they still allowed him to marry her even though they had advised him to take his time and not rush things. This advice was specifically from William, and as reports will have it, this is where the problems began, with Harry not paying any heed to it and still going on to marry Meghan only shortly after meeting her. When they moved into the palace, things only continued to worsen, and there were complaints from the palace staff against Meghan. Allegations of bullying and rudeness by Meghan towards them. When the royals started getting wind of it, majority of them who weren't very supportive of Meghan chose to side with the allegations, which included Charles and William. As for Harry, he stood by his wife and deemed the allegations ridiculous, insinuating that there was no way his wife did what the staff claimed. Harry would try to do everything possible to get his family to listen to his own side of the story, to no avail. Even his own dad and brother chose to side with the others. When this happened, the prince began to feel he no longer has anyone on his side. So there was only one decision to make, which was to step down as a working royal and leave with his wife. This decision may not have been as difficult for Harry as you think. Yes, he loves his family, but he's always been someone who likes his freedom, revealing at one point how he prefers to not become king due to the huge burden of responsibility it comes with. As one who isn't the heir to the throne, things were much easier for him, even though this is contrary to his complaints in his memoir about being treated as a spare to William, who was the heir. It begs the question, if he didn't like the responsibilities that come with being a royal, especially the heir and the monarch, then what was the reason for his complaints on being treated as a spare since his birth? To answer this question, it could be that maybe he really doesn't like the burden that comes with being a royal, but as a kid it was certainly hard on him always getting the second slice of the cake. It wasn't merely because William was the firstborn, and if it was, then Harry could understand, but it was mainly due to the fact that William was the heir to the throne. He got the first share of everything because of this, and Harry, as he grew older, began to understand what was really happening over the years, and hence the reveal of being treated as a spare in his memoir. When he discovered that everyone in the palace was against Meghan, he decided to protect her by stepping down as a working royal and leaving with her in 2020 to the United States. In terms of their relationship with the royal family, the early periods after their exit wasn't too bad. They were still keeping in touch with the royal family and still attended some events together. This was proof that the exit wasn't merely because of the maltreatment of Meghan, according to Harry, but it was only a trigger to his eternal wish for freedom. The relationship between the two parties was still at a decent level before calamity struck on March 7, 2021, when the couple conducted a controversial interview with Oprah Winfrey outdoors at her house in Santa Barbara County. A day later, the interview was aired on ITV under the watchful eyes of the whole of the United Kingdom. The beginning of the controversial life of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and the feud with the royal family. It was after this interview that Harry and Meghan began being seen as controversial figures, and it was following it that the royal family began to distance themselves. Things were quite okay before this. The Duke and Duchess during the interview revealed many things that had been going on behind the scenes between them and the royals, such as Charles no longer taking his calls and how he was trapped as a royal, insinuating the point we talked about above about being opposed to the responsibilities as a royal. They also revealed being stranded for a while after their exit from the palace, with royal security taken away, and they had to live in Beverly Hills, a house provided by Tyler Perry, until they were able to make out an alternative plan. According to Harry, when they stepped down as working royals, their allowance was also cut off, and he had to rely on the money he inherited from his mother to provide for his new family. These were some of the reveals in the Oprah Winfrey interview, which was only the beginning of the prodigal journey of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which saw them spilling everything they could about the royal family, never ceasing to spill secrets and slander the royal family, and that is how the rift widened further to what it is today. After the interview with Oprah Winfrey came Meghan Markle's podcast Archetypes, which saw her invite various celebrities from around the world to talk about matters, and throughout the episodes, she always made sure to throw a jab at the royal family, be it directly or indirectly. After the podcast came the Netflix docuseries, which saw Harry claiming that William bullied him out of the royal family, and together with their dad King Charles, leaked false narratives about him to the media. Then came Prince Harry's explosive memoir not too long after, which saw the reveal of bombshell after bombshell about the royal family, ranging from William going physical with him to being treated as a spare, to the maltreatment of his mother by the royal family, as well as his grief towards her death, to maltreatment by Charles, who barely consoled him after the death of his mother, and so on and so forth. It was one explosive secret after another, beginning with the Oprah Winfrey interview until the memoir reveal. How could the royal family sit back and take all of this without a clapback? As such, they made sure to distance themselves from the unrestrained couple. There were several times that you could say would have been easy to strip them off their royal titles, with several reports of it happening here and there in those years. While the speculations were all false, it is not impossible to think either Queen Elizabeth and especially King Charles could have thought of doing it at a certain point. I mean, Harry and Meghan could be considered to have gone rogue at the time, and stripping off their royal titles would have been fair. As we all know, however, the King-Queen most likely couldn't bear to do that to her beloved grandson and his wife, while King Charles wouldn't want to do that to his son as well, especially if we once again take Archie and Lilith into consideration. If you strip off the titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, then they would be affected as well. All of this happened until around June this year, when they decided to completely put an end to any royal family slander or secret spilling. This meant no documentaries, interviews, podcasts will have nothing to do with the royal family again. Initially considered an impossibility, but it may seem it was totally true, as since then till this day, Harry and Meghan are yet to speak a word concerning the royal family. These are signs that they have been thinking about a reconciliation since, and with what's happening recently, this should be the case. And that's it for our video. What do you think about Harry and Meghan's recent escapades to reconcile with the royal family? Will the royal family be open to it? Before you leave, drop a comment. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.